I got so much motherfucking design on right now.
Break it down, bring it back, make it clap. I got that.
Hi, my name is Fanny Tifano. As the first presenter of Group 2, I will continue talking about critical discourse analysis and framing and critical discourse analysis and multimodality. Firstly, critical discourse analysis and framing. A further way of doing a critical analysis to examine the way in which the content of a text is framed is the way in which it is presented to its audience and the sort of perspective, angle, and tendency the writer or speaker is taking, or what is foregrounded and backgrounded in the text, that is, what the author has chosen to emphasize or indeed leave out the text. Hakin, 1997, shows newspaper report on a demonstration at a nuclear test site in the US in just this way. Let's take a look together at the opening of the text he examined. The demonstration described in this report is framed as a confrontation between the group of protesters and law officials. The report does not discuss the issue that motivated the protest. The protesters are presented negatively as trespassers rather than as people with a concern for the environmental future of their country. A police versus protesters frame is foregrounded and also presented rather than the social, public health, or environmental issues that they are protesting about. There is much that is backgrounded or omitted from the text, such as information on nuclear testing plant for the site, health issues faced by people living near that area, and the role of the government. Therefore, the text emphasizes that the most interesting and important aspect is the number of protesters arrested and not the issues being protested. From the text example, as Hakin shows, the tactics used by the writer put a particular slant on the text and encourage readers to read and understand in a particular way. By analyzing the text, thus, it aims to bring hidden meanings to the surface by unpacking assumptions, priorities, and values that underlie the text. Next, I want to talk about critical discourse analysis and multimodality. As the name tells, multimodality. Many readings of texts are constructed not just by the use of words, but also with pictures, film, video images, and sound. The multimodal use of discourse is as much a feature of print genres as it is of television genres. For instance, the presentation of women in magazines relies not just on words on the page, but as much on the images that are used to accompany the words. For example, the magazine Cosmopolitan. Cosmopolitan is published in many versions across the world in countries such as the UK, the US, the Netherlands, Germany, and so forth. According to Machin and Thornborough 2003, Cosmopolitan is not just about selling magazines to its readers, it is also about selling values of independence, power, and fun of women. Therefore, the multimodal use of discourse in the magazine highlights this. Cosmopolitan presents women as advancing themselves through the use of particular social and discourse strategies, rather than through technical or intellectual skills. Women are aligned with the values and views showed by the magazine as well as the other products it sells. These values are expressed not through words, but by the clothes that Cosmo women wear, the lipstick they use, their hairstyles, and the places they go or shop. These are all presented to the magazine's readers through a range of multimodal discourse practices, each of which contributes to a particular reading of the text. Alright, I think that's all from me. The next material will be continued by the next presenter. Thank you!
Hi, with me again Fahradila Azara. In this video, I'm going to talk about critical discourse analysis and identity. The issue of how identity is constructed in the use of discourse is also an area of interest in critical discourse analysis. Gordon 2004, for example, discusses how a family in the US use language to create and socialize each other into a shared family political identity as Democrats and supporters of Al Gore. They do this, by the way, to refer to Al Gore, using terms which express closeness and alignment such as our president, our guy, and my friend. Online communities are a further example of where social relations and identities are constructed through people's participation in the community's activities and their interaction with each other. In Thomas' study of children's online interaction in a virtual community called a palace, she found that children's talk and their technical ability help to give them authority and a sense of belonging to the particular group. The shared sense of belonging in online communities is also created by the use of screen names in emoticons which express emotions such as laughing, smiling, amazement, and excitement. As Thomas comments, the ways in which children establish friendships and identities offline is very different from how they do it online. In online, it is very much through the use of discourse and proficiency in use of the online environment. The discourse of this environment is very much a multimodal one, using not just words but also images, layout, design, a different view of grammar, spelling, and punctuation, and a different way of reading text. Thomas shows that the use of particular discourse strategies is one way in which identities can be established online. Technical capacity is another way in which this can be done. The amount of knowledge a person shows about the topic under discussion is a further way in which identity and in turn authority might be established online. Indeed, content knowledge and expertise in this kind of environment may be more important than factors such as age, gender, and social status, which might matter more in an offline environment. Matsuda in 2002 found this in the study of the online interaction of a Japanese language teachers group. In Japanese, hierarchies in relations are marked by the use of address forms such as chan and san, and verbs ending such as desu and masu, in order to know how to address someone in an online environment. In Japanese, a person clearly needs to know something about that person, such as their age, gender, and social standing. That's all from me. We continue to the next presenter.
Assalamualaikum, hello fellas, welcome back with me, Nurul Maskana, the last presenter of Group 2. In this video, I would like to talk about critical discourse analysis and the World Wide Web, also criticism of critical discourse analysis. Check it out! Alright, let's begin with critical discourse analysis and the World Wide Web and criticism. Much of the work in critical discourse analysis draws its discussion from the analysis of often only a few texts which have sometimes been criticized for being overly selective and lacking in objectivity. One way in which the scale of text used for a critical analysis can be expanded is through the use of texts that are available on the World Wide Web, or we know as www. Using material from the World Wide Web is not without its problems. However, it is not always possible to identify the source of text on the web. It is also not always possible to determine which texts have more authority on a topic than others on the web. It is also difficult to see sometimes who in fact is writing on the web. Text on the web further also often rely on more than just words to get their message across. Their multimodal nature thus needs to be taken account of any analysis of material from the web. Text on the web are also more subject to change than many other pieces of writing. Each of these issues needs to be considered when using data from the World Wide Web for a critical or indeed any kind of discourse study, according to Mulder 2005 Part 8. The World Wide Web has however been used productively to carry out critical discourse studies which draw on the strengths of the web's capacity to collect a lot of relevant data, according to Mulder 2005 Part B. Study of the entrepreneurial university is an example of this. Mulder did a search of the web for the term entrepreneurial university to see who is using this term, what genres it typically occurs in, and how it is typically used. She used a search engine to do this, as well as carried out to a troll through the websites of 30 top UK universities to find further uses of the term. She also used a reference corpus to see what words entrepreneurially typically collected with outside of the offered particular area of interest. Modner observes that the use of the term entrepreneurial university brings together the discourses of business and economics with the discourse of the university. It is not just the newer, seemingly more commercially driven universities, however, that are doing this. The following example from the Oxford University websites illustrates this.
Oxford is one of Europe's most innovative and entrepreneurial universities, drawing on an 800-year tradition of discovery and invention. Modern Oxford leads the way in creating jobs, skills, and innovation for the 21st century.
The term entrepreneurial university was not, however, used positively in all the texts that Modner examined. On occasions, writers purposely distance themselves from the term by putting scare quotes around these words. Even those who are advocates of the entrepreneurial university also showed they are aware of the potentially continuous nature of the term by adding qualifying statements to their use of it, such as,
"We still care about education and society, and it isn't about commercialization."
Studies such as this then show the enormous potential of using the World Wide Web for the critical study of the use of discourse. Now, let's take a look at criticism of critical discourse analysis. Critical discourse analysis has not been without its critics. However, one argument against critical discourse analysis has been that it is very similar to earlier stylistic analysis that took place in the area of literacy criticism. Widdowson, 1998 and 2004, for example, argues that a critical analysis should include discussions with the producers and consumers of text, and not just rest on the analysis views of what a text might mean alone. Meanwhile, others have suggested that critical discourse analysis does not always consider the role of the reader in the consumption and interpretation of a text, sometimes mistaking themselves for a member of the audience the text is aimed at, according to Van Lappen 2004. Critical discourse analysis has also been criticized for not always providing sufficiently detailed and systematic analysis of the text that is exhibits, according to Shogov 1997. To sum up, here are some common criticism of critical discourse analysis. First, subjectivity and ideology. Second, lack of methodological consistency. Third, overemphasis on power and ideology. Fourth, limited generalizability. Fifth, lack of transparency. Sixth, political bias. Seventh, neglect of individual agency. Eighth, complexity and jargon. Ninth, limited practical implications. And 10th, ethical concerns. It's important to note that while criticism discourse analysis has its critics, it also has a substantial body of literature defending its merits and contribution to the field of linguistics and social sciences. Like any research methodology, critical discourse analysis effectiveness and appropriateness can depend on the research tools, the specific context, and the researcher's approach. Okay, that's all about our presentation today. Thank you very much for your great attention in enjoying our video. Let's move to the question and answer section. See you, have a nice day. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.